Hope for Owen. A good Samaritan buys him a wheelchair, but he still needs £6,000 to keep it running. It's a bonanza for Lincoln. International students bring £15 million into the city's economy. Also, as councils are asked to cut back, a report reveals more than 60 officials earn over £100,000 a year. And it's hibernation on hold as the warm weather baffles wildlife.
Good afternoon, this is LSJ Today and we're live from Lincoln. I'm Kelly Pyatt.
And I'm Devin Williamson.
We have 25 minutes of all the news from around the region. But first, our top story. Lincoln teenager Owen Picker has cerebral palsy. He needs to raise £6,000 to help maintain his new wheelchair. Kelly Pyatt has this report.
But you can virtually get to any cupboard as well. Oh, that's good. We can bring the leg rest.
This was the moment when 16-year-old Owen stood up for the first time in 3 years. This £32,000 wheelchair is what he can look forward to this Christmas. The joy written on his face, a result of a generous stranger's donation from Bridlington, who has bought Owen a new lease of independent life.
And set it like that. Oh, that's cool.
Owen has suffered with quadriplegic cerebral palsy since being a baby, and his mum Sarah told me what life has been like for the pair since.
I was pregnant and Owen, my placenta started moving away, so the surgeon decided to bring Owen out, basically do a C-section, and he was born prematurely at 29 weeks. He weighed £3.1, he was very poorly, he was on a ventilator and he had to stay in hospital for about 3 months. And sometimes we'd touch and go and things like that. I didn't know he was disabled until he was about 18 months, and I was pushing because he wasn't rolling, he wasn't crawling, he wasn't doing things he should be doing. So it's only when I went to see a doctor and she saw it, even though the health visitor didn't see it, she saw what was wrong with Owen.
Growing up, Owen experienced severe muscle spasms, severe pain, and just 3 years ago, he underwent extensive hip surgery which would change his life forever. He would no longer be able to walk.
I had an operation called bilateral hip surgery, which basically stopped my hips from coming out as they were, but it also meant that I couldn't stand up again. It increased my independence massively, or helped me do things I couldn't do before, but mainly it will help me stand up, which I haven't been able to do in about 3 years.
Despite this generous donation, Owen and his mother still need to raise over £6,000 for the maintenance of the chair. And the pair are looking forward to more funny moments like this.
Well, there's quite a few things really, isn't there? We laugh about.
Did I tell you what happened yesterday?
No.
I rammed into a door. I shouldn't be saying this on camera probably. And I couldn't get through the first time, so I kept going back and forth, trying to increase my momentum, trying to get through the door. I couldn't, and I got stuck inside the door, between the door. And 3 teachers had to get me out, and then today I got stuck on a carpet, and another 2 teachers had to get me out, and then I hit a wheelie bin, and then I got
it's like dangerous driving, isn't it?
But when I get this new chair, I'll be a lot better.
That was Kelly reporting. Lincoln's economy has received a boost from the number of international students at the University of Lincoln. They've helped put an estimated £15 million into the city coffers. Angela McCall has the story.
About 1,400 students who study at the University of Lincoln aren't local. In fact, they're anything but. International students now make up 12% of the student population, coming from over 100 countries. And as a result, Lincoln's local economy has gotten a boost. First, by moving the university forwards.
Unfortunately, international students do pay a slightly higher tuition fee. So obviously tuition fees does play a central role in fueling and funding the development and the expansion of the university, particularly in terms of world-class facilities and world-class academics, obviously.
Meanwhile, students still have a lifestyle to maintain, meaning accommodation, clothing, food, and as a student experience mandates, also having some fun. These are all costs that contribute to the local economy here in Lincoln.
So there is a statistic that international students contribute around 15 million per year into the local economy here in Lincoln. But it's a much more wider, there's a lot more sort of macroeconomics that we need to look at as well.
Living internationally calls for a new budget for some, especially those who are unable to work due to short-term stays in the UK.
In Belgium I have a job between my education, so here I don't have extra money to spend. So this means I have to watch out for what I buy, and I have to be more concerned about my spendings, something I never thought about when I was in Belgium, actually.
The university has a target to increase the numbers of both international and EU students at the university. Angeline McCall, LSJ News.
A report by the Taxpayers Alliance has revealed that more than 60 council employees in Lincolnshire are earning over £100,000 a year. The findings come as councils are being asked to cut back on costs. Adam Tomlinson has more on that story.
Out of the 62 council employees who earn over £100,000 in Lincolnshire, the information published by the Taxpayers Alliance shows that 5 of those employees were from the City of Lincoln Council.
One of the highest earners at the City of Lincoln Council was Andrew Taylor. The former chief executive earned over £100,000 a year, but left in March due to ill health. He was replaced this summer by Angela Andrews.
In our current climate, I can't see any way they could possibly justify it with the amount of cuts that are being made to very important services, particularly the mental health service, I've noticed has been cut very, very severely the past few years. I mean, I don't know how they could possibly justify such a high salary when they're seeing people who need the money a lot more, who are suffering a lot more and are not getting the services they need.
I think, yes, they should get a fair wage, but I think 100,000 is quite a lot of money in today's climate where it's all about the council having to make cuts, and yes, there's definitely things that it could be better spent on, more than their salary, on like roads, things for to help mental health, just towards the public services in general, really.
Well, social services, basically, I think is lacking at the moment. We're very short on those. So that's where I'd put the money, but it's far too much for one person, for 100,000 a year in Lincolnshire.
The people on the high salaries, do you think that money could be spent better elsewhere on things like roads, from like what the public have been saying?
No, I don't, because these jobs are worth what they're paid. You wouldn't be able to recruit people to do them if you didn't pay that sort of salary. They are very responsible jobs. We need good leadership. If you want good services, if you want a well-run local authority, you've got to have high-quality leadership. You're not going to get that if you're not paying enough to make sure you attract high-caliber people.
The annual earnings don't just include their basic salary. They also include allowances, bonuses, fees, and other clauses in their contracts. However, it's not only the Lincolnshire councils that have come under scrutiny.
More information released by the Taxpayers Alliance showed that the Lincolnshire Police have 8 employees earning over £100,000, and that the Lincolnshire hospitals have employees on 6-figure salaries. Adam Tomlinson, City of Lincoln Council, LSJ Today.
Let's have a look at other stories from around the region. Lincoln documentary maker Neil Bonner and his colleague Rebecca Prosser have flown home after spending 5 months in an Indonesian prison. The couple was arrested by the Navy while making a film about piracy and alleged military corruption. The authorities said that the filmmakers did not have the correct visas and paperwork to be working.
Network Rail is investing £100 million to upgrade 60 miles of Lincolnshire's railway. The work includes replacing a 100-year-old signal, improving 16 level crossings, and building 2 new bridges. It's hoped the scheme will help boost economic growth, in particular around the busy port of Immingham, and increase passenger travel. The work will be carried out at weekends over Christmas and New Year.
Lincoln Cathedral could reveal more secrets with the help of a powerful 70,000-pound laser. Academics are using the technology to build up a floor plan of the cathedral, something not done in more than a century. The scanning could explain irregularities or unexplained voids, giving away to the locations of secret spaces or passageways.
A study has revealed that Lincolnshire roads are the highest for car casualties. Both Louth and Horncastle have recorded the largest number of injuries, some 70% higher than the national average. The report concludes that the county's straight rural roads invite speed.
Hundreds of people commemorated Armistice Day with a ceremony on Lincoln High Street yesterday. A civic procession, a minute's silence, and a brief sermon were all held around the War Memorial to signify the event. Veteran Michael White told us the day meant for him.
To me means saying thank you very much for the people who've given their lives so that I don't have to wear jackboots. Because if we hadn't have done so well in all those conflicts, whether they've been small conflicts or not, we would have been under somebody else's control and our freedom would have been nothing.
As more and more independent traders are finding it hard to survive, one shop in the Belgate is preparing to close its doors after 70 years of business. Kitchen and homeware retailer Biggers has also been hit by government legislation on wages. Lucy Hickmott reports.
The uphill area of Lincoln is known for its abundance of independent shops, but as of April next year, one will be closing its doors for good. Biggers sells kitchen and homeware and has been on this site since 1944.
My father started the business in 1944 with my mother, and we've been going for 72 years now, and we've just come to the stage where we can't carry on any longer because of the way trade is now. You know, we've tried everything to pull it around and decided this is the time to pull the plug and go.
The shop has been successful for so many years, so what's led to the decision to close?
Footfall has been a big problem over the last 3 or 4 years. What's caused that, I really don't know, you know, because there's still quite a lot of people in the Vale, you know, but footfall has dropped off tremendously.
Another factor for the business is the new living wage, which will become mandatory in April next year.
Looking to the future, that's one fact that we'd have to take into account if we were carrying on business. I've always paid above the minimum wage, and now we can't afford to do that any longer. So and next year, I would imagine that would put a big increase onto our wage bill.
The Biggers aren't just giving up. They've tried lots of things over the years to keep the business going.
We've tried selling on the web, which didn't work. We've tried changing what we sell. We've put in home brew and things like that, and that's not picked up tremendously on it. So, you know, we've looked into everything, and we are where we are.
Biggers isn't the only shop that's suffering at the moment. Independents up the hill and in the Belgate area are struggling to stay open. In fact, about 10 shops are due to close in the area within the next year. So why is this happening?
10, 15, 20 years ago, it used to be a village where people could buy everything they needed. There was a butcher, there's a chemist, there's a grocer's and all that. That's all gone. There's still a butcher and the chemist, but people don't need to come into the Vale for what they want, you know. And a lot of my stuff they can pick up as they're going down the supermarket, you know. And, so it's the way it is.
So shoppers will be saying goodbye to Biggers soon, and who knows what will take its place. Lucy Hickmott, LSJ Today.
It's been a busy week in Westminster as the government juggles employment figures and immigration. Here's Will Longman with the latest news.
David Cameron's got himself in a spot of bother this week after being accused of breaching ministerial code. After a series of letters between the Prime Minister and councillors from Oxfordshire County Council, which is where his Witney constituency lies, the PM sought to set up a meeting at Downing Street to discuss budget cuts. The letters involved the Prime Minister asking Conservative council leaders, "Why are you cutting the budget in Oxfordshire?" But he was met with a reply, "Because your policies are forcing us to." So Labour have written to the Cabinet Secretary Jeremy Hayward for a ruling, because they complained that ministers shouldn't use government facilities for such constituency matters. Meanwhile, Jeremy Corbyn has been sworn into the Privy Council, which is a select group of people who meet once a month to advise the monarch on carrying out their duties. He met with the Queen yesterday to be sworn in, and the question on some people's lips is, did he kneel and kiss her hand as per tradition? Although everyone else is kind of asking, who really cares? And finally, it's been quite a quiet week in the House of Commons itself. MPs broke yesterday for a short recess until Monday, but that doesn't mean that members haven't been tackling some prickly subjects. A debate was opened on Tuesday night to discuss whether the hedgehog should be nominated the UK's national species.
Now, a Guardian article in July 2013 pointed out that hedgehogs are prickly in character, have a vociferous appetite, a passion for gardens, and have a very noisy sex life. Madam Deputy Speaker, I leave it to you to decide as to which one of these traits I share.
That's all for me, but don't worry, Calvin will be back next week with more Week in Westminster.
The University of Lincoln is hosting a Diwali celebration this evening. The event, taking place in the Minerva building from 6 o'clock, will include a variety of celebrations and is inviting anyone to join in the experience. But what is Diwali? Catherine Talbot reports.
Diwali is a 5-day festival of lights. It is traditionally celebrated by Hindus and Sikhs and is one of the most significant festivals in the Indian culture. The word Diwali refers to rows of lighted lamps. They symbolise the victory of light over darkness and good over evil. Celebrations often include firework displays and candle and decorations in house and shop windows. During Diwali, families and friends share sweets and gifts, and many give food and goods to those who are less fortunate and in need. It's also a chance for people to spring clean their home, redecorate, or wear new clothes. Tonight's event will include Bollywood music and dancing, as well as a chance to have a go at traditional artistic designing. You can also try traditional foods as part of the celebrations. The event invites people of all faiths and nationalities to join their evening of fun.
And now it's time for some tech talk with Emma Tinson. So what's been happening with the technology world this week, Emma?
Well, it's been a big week for gaming fans as the post-apocalyptic role-play game Fallout 4 has been released. This is the 5th major instalment in the popular Fallout game series, and I went along to the release night to find out how excited Fallout fans in Lincoln were. Gaming fans lined the streets of Lincoln on Monday evening as they awaited the midnight launch of Fallout 4. Game and Gametronics in Lincoln hosted the event that saw fans queuing outside the stores for hours. Gamers who had pre-ordered Fallout 4 were able to collect their copies when doors opened at midnight. I spoke to a few of the fans about why they were so excited for the game.
Well, I'm here to collect my copy of Fallout 4. I have been waiting for it for about 6 months, so I'm quite excited. This is a laser rifle. It's been in all the Fallout games before. It's quite a good prop actually.
It's got a good story and multiple endings, in-depth characters, and it feels sort of more like a film than a game at some points, and I think that's quite a good thing to have in games nowadays. It sort of separates it from the other ones. Well, I think it's a good idea to get it straight away so that the story doesn't get spoiled for you, obviously, because that happens with films and TV quite a lot. And with this, it's a similar thing. The stories are a big event and big part of it. You don't want people to be ruining that for you.
I've been waiting for this for quite a long time now, and when I saw
it revealed at E3, I knew I was going to pre-order it straight away and come to the midnight release to collect my copy. I've always enjoyed the Fallout games. I mean, I started with Fallout 3, then worked my way backwards playing the originals, and it was one of the first games I got actually with my 360, and I've loved the series ever since.
The game has now been released and is available on PlayStation 4, Xbox One and Microsoft Windows. Emma Tinson, LSJ Today. More gaming news now, as a local student has raised around £250 for children with diseases such as leukemia by taking part in a live-streamed gaming marathon. Tom Mulholland has participated in the Extra Life charity event for the past 3 years and explained what this year's challenge involved.
I was awake for 26 hours doing the Extra Life Marathon for the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So basically it involved staying awake for 26 hours playing video games, but I know it doesn't sound too complicated and too kind of, I don't know how to put it, too taxing, but I actually tacked on this year a lot of challenges that were designed to make my life as uncomfortable as possible. They started off very simple. So one of them was that I was only allowed to talk in rhymes for an hour. I'm not sure that we stuck to that one too straightly, but that was because I was quite tired at the time. All the way up to me having my legs waxed in a patch. I had to be in drag for about 10 hours, and it turns out wigs are quite itchy. Yeah, so
speaking of girlfriend.
This is me. Instant regret, offensively hot, chili beer. I had this beer, and it was it had the spice is measured in this thing called Scoville units, basically, and jalapeno I think is about 20,000 Scoville units. And this beer was infused with 2 million Scoville units, and it actually had health warnings on it. It was like drinking something that was fire, like liquid fire. It was horrible, but once again, it's for a good cause. So recently, like, it's gone from the first year it was raising like a few $1,000s to the point where when I finished, I think it had raised about $6 million as a global cause. So and that all goes to children's hospitals to mainly towards kids that have terminal diseases like leukemia, terminal but treatable. So we're not talking about like hospice care, but actually treating, tackling these diseases.
That's all for your Tech Talk this week. Back to you, Kelly and Devon. On to sport, and we're joined now by our correspondent Liam Ray, who has the latest sporting news, including the Lincoln Festival of Cycling and Lincoln City's bid for promotion back to the Football League.
Yes, hello, and the Lincoln Festival of Cycling schedule has been announced, and it looks a lot different to previous years. Drawing inspiration from last year's National Championships, the weekend includes a historic Grand Prix and events for the amateurs as well. I went along to Uphill Lincoln to see what's in store for the riders next year.
Biablowski is going to be on the podium yet again in the Lincoln Grand Prix, but the win is for Janto Barker from Team...
One of the defining images for sport in Lincoln, the winner of the Lincoln Grand Prix crossing the finish line in Castle Square. The race has been going for 60 years, and after the success of the National Championships that took place in the city last year, organisers decided to make cycling span across the whole Grand Prix weekend. Cue the Lincoln Festival of Cycling.
For 2016 we have expanded the programme for the Grand Prix itself into a full Festival of Cycling weekend, which would match the kind of 2015 promotion that we did, which was for the British Championships. So we've got a criterium on the Friday night, sportive Saturday morning, uphill dash on Saturday evening, and then brand new for this year we've got a Women's Grand Prix in the morning and then the Men's Grand Prix in the afternoon.
The weekend enables not just professional riders but amateur cyclists to ride on the roads around Lincoln. And there's a certain hill that I'm sure many will be dreading.
So this is the Michael Gate climb. It's become symbolic for cycling in Lincoln. It's been used in the Grand Prix for over 50 years and has been known as one of the most gruelling climbs in the country. We saw riders like Mark Cavendish and Peter Kennock ride up it last year, and next year sees a chance for amateur cyclists to have their own try on this climb.
Onto the climb then. This is the fearsome climb of Michael Gate. We have done the 2 loops of the 30 miles and now we are about to hit the cobbles for the first time.
So Dan, talk us through this part of the climb.
So this is the entrance to the climb for Michael Gate, and the bottom half of the climb actually is effectively the place that you could lose the race 100 miles out.
The conditions totally changing, and here we go as the pressure is still being exerted at the front of this group, and it looks to me like John Mould is starting to suffer a little bit.
At this part, it does kind of steep up. This is leading to the steepest section just there before you kind of make a couple of bends and into Castle Square. So, and this is the section really where the final decision's made.
So it looks like this part of the course will prove to be pivotal again in 2016. And with new additions like the Women's Grand Prix, fans will be in store for even more entertainment next year. The festival is due to take place between the 13th and 15th of May. Liam Ray, LSJ News.
Moving on, and in football, Lincoln City bounced back from their FA Cup exit at the weekend with a 2-1 away victory at Aldershot last night. A late goal from Jack Muldoon ensured the Imps of the 3 points, and they move up to 8th in the National League ahead of their weekend match at home against Tranmere. Lincoln United advanced to the second round of the Integro League Cup with a win on penalties over Mickleover Sports on Tuesday. The match ended 1-1, but Jordan Lemon was the hero, scoring the winning spot kick. Their attention now turns to a big game financially in the FA Trophy on Saturday away at Skelmersdale United. Back to you guys in the studio.
We've all been out enjoying the warm weather that's hit Lincolnshire lately, but what effect is this having on the wildlife? Our reporter Owen Bellwood has been to find out how Lincolnshire's animals are coping with the higher temperatures.
Hibernation is on hold this year after record high autumn temperatures. The normal cold snap, which we experience this time of year, hasn't hit Lincolnshire, and nature lovers across the county have seen some odd sights, like hares boxing. Now this activity wouldn't normally be seen until springtime. This November is now the hottest since 1969, after temperatures reached 14.8 degrees this week. The warm weather has meant animals and wildlife in Lincolnshire have been acting rather strangely, with some exhibiting their normal springtime behaviour. Also, insects and wasps that would normally die out due to the cold weather haven't, so there's been an increased number of call-outs from pest controllers to deal with wasps' nest and infestations. The warm weather is set to end this weekend though, when Storm Abigail hits the county, which will bring temperatures down. This is Owen Bellwood at Bultham Mere in Lincolnshire for LSJ News.
Well, how is the weather looking for the next few days? A band of heavy rain will clear east through the region this evening, with scattered showers following from the west. Rain will continue into Saturday and will clear by Sunday. The start of the week looks good, with the warm weather continuing.
That's all from the LSJ team today. Thank you for joining us.
Remember, you can catch up with the latest news on lsjnews.co.uk or on our Twitter at LSJ Tweets or on our Facebook page.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.